Right, well, the light is gonna go down. Yeah, Good evening, everyone. Good evening. We are gonna go ahead and get started. We are informed. We are gonna get our meeting started. It is 6:06. Welcome to the AB 617 South Sacramento Air Quality Steering Committee meeting. We want to welcome everyone here, and again, thank you so much for coming out. And to get started, we're going to pass it over for interpretation instructions.
Hello, my name is Alicia, and I will be your in-person Spanish interpreter for tonight's meeting. If you need in-person interpretation services, I will be at the back table and can provide you with a headset to hear the simultaneous language interpretation. We are also providing simultaneous language interpretation services on Zoom. If you need to access an interpreter on Zoom, please join the virtual meeting using Zoom's desktop or mobile app. Click the interpretation icon, which is a globe at the bottom of the window or on the desktop or under the More button on mobile. Choose the desired language and mute the original audio. Please make sure you're using the latest version of the Zoom application and not the internet browser. Hola, mi nombre es Ariana, voy a ser su intérprete de español persona. Para la junta de hoy se necesitan servicios de interpretación en persona. Yo voy a estar en la mesa de atrás y puedo proveerle como audífono o equipo para escuchar la interpretación simultánea de idiomas. También estamos proveyendo servicios de interpretación simultánea de idiomas en Zoom. Si necesita accesar un intérprete a través de Zoom, por favor, únase al grupo virtual, de la junta virtual, utilizando Zoom en la aplicación de la computadora o del móvil. Seleccione o apriete el icono de interpretación, que es un globo terráqueo. Al fondo abajo en la ventana en una computadora o bajo el menú de más en la aplicación del móvil. Por favor, escoja el lenguaje que prefiere y silencie el audio original de la junta. Asegúrese que esté utilizando la versión más reciente de la aplicación de Zoom y no un navegador de internet. Gracias.
Thank you so much. Good evening. My name is Elizabeth Herrera, and I'll be your facilitator tonight. Britta is really sorry she couldn't be here. She was very sick, and especially sad to miss you guys. We're just going to walk through a few meeting logistics, and then we'll move into introductions and roll call. Just a reminder, this is very familiar to everybody, but if you are in person, you use your placard, or you can raise your hand if you want to ask a question or make a comment. Online virtual attendees, we ask that you also use your raised hand or your virtual hand. One of your virtual hands, since we don't see a lot of faces, to let us know if you have a question or comment. And again, just order questions and comments just so we have a flow. We'll take steering committee questions or comments in the room, steering committee members online, public attendees in the room, and then public folks online for any questions or comments. For those that are online, thanks for being here tonight. If you're having any problems, you can message the host or co-host if you're having technical difficulties, or you can email ab617clerk@airquality.org for assistance, and they'll be glad to help. During the steering committee, is there more that I can say? Oh, *9 to raise your hand if you're joining by phone. It doesn't look like we have any folks by phone. And *6 to unmute yourself. Thanks. We all know what this is. We've all read the charter in detail, I'm sure, but just a reminder tonight that we are going to be respectful of other people's opinions and voices in the matter, and that we are solution focused. Tonight we have per usual, a packed agenda. When is that not the case? We're gonna be doing normal business with some administrative items, some updates from the outreach subcommittee in the district. And then the bulk of our time will be spent on some action items. So we're gonna be taking a vote on the SERP strategies and a vote on the SERP targets. And then we'll move through new business and public comments. And then I'll pass it to my colleague for introductions and roll call. Sorry, Vincent, you're following directions and I missed it.
Yes, when you referenced the charter, I was looking at the materials online today and the link didn't work to go to the charter. Is there a copy of the charter in the room today
That's a great
for us to
question.
look at?
Do we have a copy of the charter?
So all steering committee members should have a copy of the charter in your folder, or binder of materials. But we did bring some extras in case for some reason your materials don't contain that. It would be on the right side, of the folder.
Thank you. The last one there.
Thanks, Sarah. All right, we'll move on to introductions and roll call.
Good evening again, good evening, and thank you so much for coming this evening. We will be conducting roll call. When I call your name, if you can please respond with the present and I or here. We will start with Bishop Chris Baker,
Here.
Vincent Valdez,
Here.
Stephanie Williams.
Here.
Tia. Tia,
Yes, ma'am.
Jamal Green.
Here.
Serena Rodriguez. Richard Lincoln. Ward Mitchell,
Here.
Barry Boyd,
Here.
Arturo Arroyo,
Here.
Morgan Brown here. Lori Walker,
Here.
Roberto Rizzo,
Here.
James Allison,
You've been joining us later.
M. Swan. Richard Falcone,
Sent him a message, says he'll be here about 30 minutes late.
Alicia Pacas Caballo. Angelique Israel. Jacob Smalls,
Here.
Malia Wallen,
Present.
Yajane Gunn.
Here.
Okay, and just to confirm, that does make quorum at 16 steering committee members present. We'd also like to thank the Sacramento Air District staff for being here. We have the CARB staff here as well. I know that we want to recognize that we have the county, the Sacramento, the city of Sacramento, the city of Elk Grove, Valley Vision, as well as I believe that is the Meadowview Neighborhood Association present. So we want to thank you all for being here today.
Thank you. And then are there any public participants that would like to state their name and neighborhood or affiliation? I see some shaking heads now. Okay. Oh, I have one back here.
Hi, Edwin Cortez, Operations Manager for United Latinos.
Welcome. Anybody else? Not to put you on the spot. We just wanted you to know you're welcome. All right. Erin, are there any community events? And again, if you could keep these brief, that would be great. Morgan, do you have any community events?
Absolutely. Good evening again, everyone. Morgan Brown, co-lead and CEO of Color the Block. I wanted to announce that on January 31st, we will be having our annual plant celebration and Greenleaf Swap Meet at Rainbow Mini Park. There will take place is a plant giveaway, as well as we're doing a recycle sustainability giveaway of all types of household goods, clothing, items, produce, food, as well as we will have our new chickens on site, so that way you'll be able to come visit our chickens and hopefully we'll have some eggs for you as well. So look for volunteers, and as usual, come get the eggs, come get the produce, don't leave us with the stuff.
Just the egg, no fried chicken.
Right?
That was January 31st. All right, touch base with Morgan if you're interested. Any other community events?
Sure.
Great. Well, you need the mic so they can hear you online.
Good afternoon, everybody. Buenas tardes, Karen Dueñas from La Familia Counseling Center. I hope you feel at home here. I just wanted to invite all of you and your communities to our biggest community event of the year, December 18th, which is our annual Posada. It's our gift giveaway, Santa, Grinch free photo shoot for our families. And then we're gonna have a lot of community resources. So you're always invited, and I hope you feel at home here.
Thank you so much for having us. December 18th. 3:30 to 6:30 here.
Biggest event of the year?
Biggest community event of the year. Any other community events, updates? All right, I'll pass it to my co-lead for the meeting summary.
All right, so everyone should have received the meeting summary minutes from our last steering committee meeting in their email. If you look inside of your packets as well, it should be in the left side of your folder. So the first step is to see if anybody does not have any issues with the meeting minutes, to see if anyone wants to motion to approve the draft November 17th, 2025 meeting summary. Motion. Okay, we have a motion from Serena, thank you. And do we have a second? All right, thank you so much, Bishop, for your second. Now, any discussion from the steering committee members? Yes. Vincent.
Yeah, I had a question on the meeting summary. Didn't we vote on something for, Meadowview Urban Tree Project? I didn't see it in the minutes.
We didn't take a vote. You guys are gonna be taking a vote to accept that tonight. We'll have that, as part of the presentation. You guys had talked about it, there was consensus, and then I had shared back that we were going to be bringing it back, tonight.
So we made consensus?
Yeah.
Okay. That's not recorded in the minutes?
Is it not?
No.
It is under 3B of district updates. It is the third bullet point down.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, any other steering committee members? Any public comments? All right, so we'll move forward with a vote to approve the meeting minutes summary. Excuse me, we will start with the vote. We'll start with Mr. Bishop Chris Baker,
Yes.
Vincent Valdez,
Yes.
Stephanie Williams,
Yes.
Tito,
Yeah.
Jamal Agreed. Sarita Rodriguez.
Yeah.
Richard Lincoln. Ward Winchell.
Yes.
Antonio Arroyo.
If Barry Boy already vote, I can vote.
Barry Boyd.
You hear me? Aye.
Morgan Brown. Yes. Lori Walker.
Yes.
Roberto Rizzo.
I'd like to abstain.
James Allison. M. Swan. Richard Falcone. Alicia Pacas Caballo. And Jolie Israel. Jacob Smalls.
Yes.
Malia Wallace.
Yes.
Diashne Good. Okay, and the vote passes.
Thank you, Morgan. And now I'd like to pass the mic to the district to present on the annual co-lead election and charter review.
All right, for those veteran steering committee members and for new steering committee members that have been with us for a whole year. During December, we bring up the topic of charter. If there's anything in the charter that you want to bring up to the group for discussion that needs to be adjusted or changed, we can do that. And that would open up as a January action item. In our charter, there is also a co-lead election. So we're in December now. In January, we will be voting for new co-leads to serve in the 26 timeframe. So nominations can be made during this agenda item tonight, or you can submit the nominations to the AB 617 clerk email. And that will be open until the January 2026 action item. The nomination for the steering committee member who people put name forward has to be accepted by that member in order for us to vote in January. And the new co-leads will start their term in February of 2026. Next slide. So for those who want to know a little bit more about what are the responsibilities of the co-lead, there are co-lead roles for the charter, and that's listed in the charter on section 4.2. And I think you can all read that, but then I think it might be really helpful as Morgan is putting a fork in her mouth to maybe share a little bit about your experience. And then I know Roberto's online, maybe share a little bit about, the responsibility, the interactions, how often I contact you guys.
This is Morgan. Oh, this is not Morgan. I don't know. Okay. So this is Morgan, one of the current co-leads. I will say it was a pleasure being able to work with you all and serve you all. Due to unforeseen health circumstances, I will be unable to carry on my duties as co-lead. And we're trying to self-nominate for another term. I will say that the experience has been very enlightening. It definitely was, as far as like all of the different strategies that we've been trying to come up with, as well as being a new steering committee member around the time of becoming a co-lead. I believe it definitely gave more information for me to understand what the true mission behind what we're doing and the purpose behind serving not only as a steering committee, but being able to step up as a leader for making sure that we were able to get some of these strategies developed, help work with you all and guide you all to get to where we're at now. So we, as a whole and as a team, I feel like we've made awesome, tremendous steps over the last year. I would say that when it comes to time commitment, I would honestly say expect. You want to be honest? Okay, I will honestly say expect at least, on average, a meeting a week. Keeping in mind that we have our subcommittee meetings as well as our CERC meetings. And then we have our steering committee meetings. And then as facilitators, as co-leads, we have our facilitation meetings, on average about twice a month. So pretty much that's 4.5, 5 weeks. That's a meeting a week. You will be communicating frequently with the air district. I feel like that's very, very beneficial, not only to stay on track, but just in case there are any scheduling conflicts. But I do also enjoy the fact that there's a lot of flexibility. So I do know that when there was times where we needed meetings that were more centered in the daytime, we were able to accommodate. If we needed meetings that were directed later in the evening, they were able to facilitate that, as well as being able to accommodate in-person meetings as well. So there were times where I was able to meet with the district at their office. Again, I feel like it is it's a very powerful leadership role. But again, keeping in mind that you will want to make sure that you do have the availabilities. And Roberta?
Hi, y'all. Thank you, Morgan. Yeah, I mean, I echo your experience. Definitely an eye-opening opportunity. I'm still deciding if I will self-nominate for next year. As you know, I just had a kid. I'm on paternity leave right now. So yeah, but it's the time commitment definitely, as you said, it's around 5 meetings a month. I think if you have a good relationship with your colleague, you can divide and conquer. That's worked really well for Morgan and I. Yeah, it's important to remain flexible if you're wanting to do this and to um want to really want to make change, because a lot of time you have to be the mediator between the the uh the the committee members. You all know the committee, we reach out to you constantly, text you, and then also work with the district. um it's a really cool experience though. So if you're up for it, definitely do it. And it's only a year, right? A year goes by hella fast. So yeah, that's all I say. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Morgan and Roberto, for providing that perspective. We also want to thank you guys for all of the leadership that you brought to the committee, all the experience that you bring to help us move to this point in our plan. We've enjoyed our interactions. It's been very lovely with you and all of the co-leads who have served through so many years, right? Vincent's been one of them, Stephanie, Bill and Pat, for those who know them. So with that, we are opening up for nominations. You guys can have a discussion as well. You can self-nominate. You can also send us an email. And for those who name we receive, we will be checking with that steering committee member to see if they accept the nominations, and then we will bring them forward in the January meeting. Vincent?
Yes, I'd like to nominate Tito. I think it's the year for Tito.
It's not April Fool's.
Do we just nominate excerpts? Does the accept?
Well, you can say you can accept or not, or you can answer later.
Private?
You're fine.
You sure, Tito? I would like to also nominate Richard Falcone, who is not here to accept. Oh, he's here now?
I am coming in remote. Thank you.
Can you repeat that, please?
Yes, I am here attending remote. My apologies for being tardy.
Oh, no, we're glad you're here, Richard.
They can accept now or they can.
You're welcome if you've been nominated to say in this moment whether you accept the nominations. If you want time to think about it and get back to the district on that, that's okay too. So Tito, do you want to respond now or take a minute?
Let me see how good the ribs are first.
Okay, we're pretty good.
I should, think about it,
Okay, I'll think about it. Richard, would you like some time to think about it before you respond?
Even though I am not there to enjoy the ribs, Tito, I do accept the nomination.
Thank you, Richard. I'm not gonna misspell names on nominations. Any other nominations? Oh, Barry's in first. Welcome. Any other nominations? You have until the next meeting, is that correct? To nominate folks, you can email the district and let them know if other people come to mind, or you decide that you'd like to nominate yourself. That's a thing too. So just let the district know. Glad to have you. Anything else on this, Janice?
No, I think that's it for the co-lead election. So just wanted to go back to charter review. I apparently switched them when I was talking. We do have amendments. The document states that we will review them annually. You guys all have them in your packet. If there's no proposed revisions, then no action is needed. If there's minor revisions, they can be proposed to the district and accepted through a steering committee vote. If there's a major revision, the committee can form a subcommittee to draft the revisions and accept them through a committee vote as well. So with that, I don't know if there's any steering committee members that would like to propose any changes, at least for discussion. Morgan? Oh, Pam. Hearing none, I think we've refined it over the years to get it to a good place. Okay, all right.
We'll close this out. What? Mic issue.
Can you guys hear? Sorry, mic issues. Thanks for your patience. All right, normally we move into updates and we start with the outreach subcommittee, but because of the change of date for this meeting, the outreach subcommittee hasn't met this month yet. So their update is really short, nothing. So we'll hand it back to the district. I think they have another update for us.
Yes, as a follow-up. Oh, okay, is there, there is one thing, it was, volunteers requested for the MLK March. Vincent, was this an event that we brought up at one of our outreach subcommittee, the MLK March? Yeah, so
Yeah.
on January 19th, there is going to be an event. So if there are steering committee members that would like to volunteer to table their, contact Vincent, or what do you want to do, Vincent?
Actually, last year we,
So Mike,
this been the March, right?
Actually, last year we participated by handing out hot cocoa in the morning to all the people who were going on the march, and then we proceeded with the march. So there wasn't really any room for tabling or anything there, but we were just helping in the community and showing our presence. And as we were there, we discussed a lot of the topics that we talk about, and we interacted with the community very well and found a lot of interest. And I think some of those people have participated throughout the year in some of the other events that we engaged with in the Oak Park community and in the community in general. So it's a good place to be to hand out cocoa in the morning. And then I do believe they're tabling at Sac City College after, in the middle of the march. There were some people meeting there as well, so I will volunteer to be there to hand out hot cocoa. And if anybody wants to join me, would it be at Oak Park Community Center? And Valley Vision helps put it on, I believe.
Thanks, Vincent. Right, we're up to district updates?
District updates.
Okay. All right, so a follow-up from last month's meeting, we had a discussion about the membership of Reina Moreno. And we did send a letter to Reina thanking her for her service, and if she'd, like to come back, then please go ahead and apply for the steering committee to consider. So we did went ahead and sent her a formal letter thanking her for her time and her service. Okay. All right, this is gonna go into the next item about voting serve strategies, but before we get there, there's a few things that I want to recognize. It's December. You guys are going to see all the work that you all put in to get us to the place that we're at tonight.
Yep.
Which is getting the serve strategies out for public comment. You guys spent so many hours deliberating and having this conversation for your community. So I wanted to make sure that we highlight that and uplift all the work that you guys have done. So thank you for that. And the next thing is that CAR, when I was talking to them last week at the consultation group, they insisted on celebrating this milestone with us by providing the cake that you all see. So,
Thank you. It's a Freeport.
it's a Freeport cake. So,
Freeport bakery.
sorry, Freeport bakery cake.
Bakery.
So thank you so much for doing that. And really, we are at a milestone where you guys should be really proud of all the work that you all have done. And we're gonna move into this next action item look at that. We stayed on schedule, y'all. So, we're at December, we're gonna take the vote tonight. You guys have all received lots of information on the draft strategies that we are asking for you to vote tonight. Last Monday, we had discussed with some steering committee members on some changes that they wanted to make, minor changes that they wanted to add. We will discuss them tonight for your consideration. And then once you guys have taken a vote, then we are scheduled to release a draft document in the middle of January. So once that happens, we're gonna be opening that for public comment. We're gonna be receiving them. We'll be then, depending on the comments that we get, we'll be bringing them back to the steering committee on how we're gonna be addressing those concerns or comments. Once we do that, we are on schedule to hopefully in March, where you guys will be taking a final SERP approval vote with this board. And then that starts our whole district process, where it goes to our district board. And before we do that, we go out to another public comment period. And then once our board scheduled to be
brought to our board in the end of May. Then once that happens, we are looking to submit the SERB to CARB in June. And then CARB is actually going to have a annual report to their board on 6/17 in July. And so depending on what the outcome is, they will be sharing that information with their state, with the board, the CARB. All right, any questions on that before we move on? Okay. So this is a couple meetings back, steering committee members, I think Roberto, our co-lead, was asking about what, you guys have done a lot of work on the strategies, but what else goes into the plan? And so we developed a overview of the different CERT chapters. Many of this information we have walked with you all. In terms of like the inventory, we are describing the process with the community that we've taken to come to the place of where we're at. So I think we went through this at last Monday in our CERB subcommittee meeting. Are there any questions regarding the other chapters in the book? Okay. Thank you for those who have provided quotes for them. When if your quote makes it into the SERB, we will let you know. We've received several of them, and so we're gonna find appropriate places, and if we end up using them, we'll let you know. All right.
What was that, Janice?
There was volunteers who provided different quotes to different questions. Yeah. Okay, so we also shared with you all the strategy implementation schedule. You guys remember that we had priority bucket 1, priority bucket 2, priority bucket 3. And what the district had shared was that we believe with the funding that we have right now, we can implement the strategies in priority bucket 1. However, when we are able to get more resources and funding, then we'll start pulling in buckets 2 and 3. So all of bucket 2 first, and then all of bucket 3 first. Are there any questions relating to that? And yeah. Okay. You have a question, Vincent?
Yeah, what buckets are you talking about? Here's 1, 2, and 3, or here, bucket 1, bucket 2? Which buckets are you referring to when you said there's 3 buckets? But year 1, year 2, year 3?
So these are what we can do in years 1 and 2, and it's 3 plus. But remember, we put it into 3 priority buckets, into the first bucket, second bucket, and third bucket. These only reflect bucket 1, priority bucket 1, with an exception of business education. We believe we were going to be able to pull that in, and that was at the top of priority bucket 2.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, go ahead. Just for clarity, bucket 1 is.
Can you repeat your mic? It's very simple. Hear you.
Sorry, yes, just for clarity, bucket 1 again is the incentive for the.
It was the combination of the incentive projects as well as the one that fell into the implementation funding,
So the buckets are prioritization.
the prioritization.
So we have 3 buckets at levels of prioritization.
Yeah, I think that's what Vince was trying to get clear in regards to 3 buckets, because we should only heard 2. Just walk this out really ABC for everybody, both in the room and outside of it.
Understand.
Huh?
That was the month I was gone.
Oh, that was the month we were gone. Okay. Oh, yes, that's right, Vincent. So we have 28 plus strategies, right? Some are broken into smaller ones. And you all did, a lot of you, did a prioritization activity where we were able to bin them into priorities 1, 2, and 3. And so we took that information and weighed it against the funding that we had, weighed it against the timing, the staffing. And what we came back with in the following month was to share that we are able to implement the priority 1 strategies, including the business education that was in 2, and then all of the other ones are basically pending on funding and resources. Thank you, Jerry, for reminding me that, and Vincent for reminding me that you weren't able to attend this. Okay. So the packet that you have tonight, you all have received a packet of all the 4 different categories. Last Monday in our SERP subcommittee meeting, we had a conversation with the folks who were there if they had any questions regarding what they were planning on voting for tonight. There was a few things we wanted to share to make sure you guys are aware. There are some strategies, so we keep saying 28, right? But there are some strategies that we split into multiple strategies to reflect the program needs for better tracking. So for example, when we're talking about nail salon incentives and creating a program for that, that might look very different with an auto body shop incentive. So I think it's like A and B, something like that. And then we've updated the strategy timelines according to your prioritization. And so we just showed a table with all the ones that we said we could do in year 1 and through 3 with the funding that we have. Those strategies were updated with an updated timeline. So we also last month talked about a Meadowview Urban Tree Project as a potential partner for increasing tree canopy strategy. We included them as part of that strategy in the packet that you have that you'll be taking a vote on tonight. We've also hosted our own event, the October 15th event. That was really successful. We went ahead and put that in there as part of the outreach because that was part of our early implementation of making sure that we're doing things now, but also looking into the future. The last 2 bullets, one was a discussion that we had on Monday about making sure that we have like tangible actions. And they wanted to, the steering committee members, I think it was M who brought it up, wanted to put in action that said fund changes to the built environment under the safe and resilient streets, under the quick back build strategy to ensure that there is some like accountability, right? That we're actually spending the incentive money on that. And then we also changed the strategy name from air filters in public spaces to air filters in indoor public spaces. The conversation I think was like, hey, let's be a little bit more clear because when I'm thinking public spaces, I'm thinking like a park. Like, what are we doing? And so the group at the SERP subcommittee discussed, and we ended up with adding the word indoor in there. So and so for the most part, you guys have seen this, I don't even know how many times now. The updates that we've made to the plan, to the strategies, and I think that's it. What'd you say?
So a couple more minutes.
I have a couple more minutes. Okay.
If you need.
If I need them. I think I shared most of it. We have the draft packet examples for those who are here tonight. We have them on the table as well. We made them, the table that you always have filled out. Catherine over there did an amazing job making it look so aesthetically pleasing. Reasonable. And professional. We are professionals. And so, so it might just look different, but the content is the same. Okay.
Yeah.
Next slide, please.
Yeah.
All right. With that, You're pointing to something, Stacy. Oh, you saw a hand. I don't see a hand.
We're gonna start right here.
Oh, okay, we're gonna start right here and you're gonna go.
So we have a question in the room and then I see Richard had his hand up and we'll go to Richard. So Morgan, did you still have a question?
Yes. So yeah, I did have a quick question, just in reference to the increased tree canopies. As I was looking at the implementation agency, organization and other entity or potential partners. Just referencing specifically what was listed here for the lot. I do know that, not only as COLI, but as the organization, for that particular tree giveaway, I do understand what went behind trying to orchestrate and put that event on. My question as to how it's listed, is this stating that this was something that happened one time, or is this something given the opportunity if Color Block wanted to have this as an ongoing, strategy or project outside of just November 25? And I'm asking based on the wording that's listed here.
It's listed as an early implementation action. But I think if, you know, you want to commit to more, I don't think anybody would object.
And just asking because like I do understand, appreciate and like that. None of you Urban Tree Project is listed, so that we have now other organizations as well as I know United Latino. Listed, I just want to make sure I understand the process and following the proper protocol. And thinking about any future projects to be able to request or bring it to the steering committee to avoid any type of conflict of interest in asking about the project.
Yeah, I think this is a question that lots of steering committee had even last Monday about like potential partners. I think what we've listed here are just like, again, the wording is potential, right? And when we get into the process of the implementation of the strategies, there's going to be a continued discussion because we're now outreaching to more people, outreaching to more partners, right? And we're going to be able to bring them in to have those discussions, and they can also be potential partners at that time as well. Yeah. And I think I may actually have made a point last Monday about wanting to make sure there is a clear, like, differentiate, making sure that folks know that there is a difference between like a partner and like a contractor, right? So when we go out for a incentive RFP and we may be looking to contract out to different folks to implement that particular project, we consider that as like a contractor. Those haven't been selected yet, right? They have a whole criteria that you have to meet. Partners could mean that, you know, let's just take Urban Meadowview Urban Tree Project. They have a lot of experience too. The same with Color the Walk in terms of like planting trees or what works, what doesn't work. Can you guys bring that experience to that discussion? And so I think there's just a slight difference between them, but some folks are saying, yes, we're willing to contribute our expertise in any way that is helpful to the steering committee.
Thank you, Janice. Richard, thank you for your patience. Would you still like to ask your question online?
No, actually, Morgan kind of touched on it and Janice answered, so I'm good to go. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. So unless there's any other general questions for Janice, we'll move into the action minutes. Oh, Vincent, I see you. Oh, I skipped one on this side, Vincent. Can you hold your thought for one question? For one minute? I didn't see on this side.
No, it's okay. I wanted to ask on this discussion for the trees, or under Color the Block, could we add the word potential programs? Because that Meadowview, there is potential for future programs. Maybe that would be a way to address their ability to have programs in the future besides just the one they did last month.
Yeah, we can add that in if that's something that the steering committee would like for us to do. So when we go through a motion to vote, I would just advise that it would be, hey, you know, I'm motioning to vote to approve such and such with this addition to this part. So be specific. So say in Color of the Block, add in added, to be able to identify potential programs and tree canopy under color of the law, something like that.
Vincent, thanks for your patience.
Yeah, so I was just looking at, I've only been looking at the urban planning and mobile sources, because that was the kind of the committee that I was on most of the time. And just to echo what I think I heard already, so a lot of the participating implementing agency, organization, other entity, or potential partners on these strategies are local jurisdictions and the steering committee or the Sacramento Air District. And so where do we get to include the community organizations or people who are interested, say for the safe and resilient streets, they're redoing Franklin Boulevard here, but we don't have the Franklin Boulevard neighborhood or business districts on here as well. La Familia is working on a large project over here, but we don't have any of the community organizations. We can still add them later.
Yes, during implementation phase, we'll be having deeper discussions too on potential partners, and we can add them, add them.
But it's not gonna be after the fact of the whole plan's design is, let's add some names to it, because I think we need to start thinking of including the community in some of these decisions or shaping these strategies as we, before we present it into our, for us, for the steering committee for approval and for the, once it gets into concrete and it goes to CARB for approval for them as well.
I see. There is opportunities because again, steering committee isn't taking a vote until March. Right, and so if there are ones that you guys do want to include in there, I think there is still an opportunity to do that while we're in public comment. I will also say that, when we go out to a request for a proposal, like for incentives, again, the partners at that point, or not partners, community organizations, agencies can apply for those things as well. So again, it doesn't preclude others from being included as part of the implementation phase. And I saw Paul walking behind me. Is there something you wanted to say, or you're just walking?
Not getting paid.
Okay, he's getting paid. You cut into your guys' finger. Oh, it's already cut.
Thank you, Janice.
So just a quick piggyback, but then a question. So to Vince's point, I do understand why you're saying that. I think that kind of adds a level of accountability. As far as like having something tangible that we're voting on, I get what you mean, and not being deterred from. So I agree and understand your thought process. My secondary question, and again, as I want to make sure I'm following proper protocol, if in fact, based on Ward's suggestion, that is added in, does that mean I need to recluse myself from that particular vote?
We're all precluded. We're gonna.
We might have to
Time for the
move the
legal
vote
team.
one by one if we do that, right? Their potential partners? Sorry,
So-
sidebar, hold on.
Okay.
But they're not getting any money.
The question,
You're not. Yeah, we're not committing to providing any funding. What it is that, Morgan, you would then be saying, hey, I want to participate in, helping achieve these goals.
I just want to ensure that even though you're not committing to giving any money, if in turn, $20,000 event such as with the tree giveaway requiring the request for support, I don't want to have been cited for voting on it preemptively for a possibility of a potential program. So again, I just, dotting the i's across the t's. Yes.
If you feel like that there could potentially be a conflict of interest, then you could recuse yourself from the vote.
No worries.
good question, Tito.
So in the spirit of Vincent's comment, I think we kind of talked about this last week. Given that, you know, a lot of us are connected to so many different organizations and you get a lot of you take from. Yeah. Because we were so involved in different organizations, we bring up a lot to the table, right? So we want to be included somewhat proactively, just in case there is a partnership relationship or a contract relationship. Like Mohammed articulated really well last time, the differences in that. And regardless, we want to be willing to have it as a win-win situation. Because also, Danielle, it is because we're so involved that it is a double-edged sword, right? That there is potential conflict of interest because we're vested in both organizations, different hats that we wear. There's also the fact that we bring a lot of resources, information to the group. But I don't think anyone else can reflect that more than us. So I think that's the hard part to navigate today. And it's not just that that's on you guys, but I think that's where the communication comes in, and even that once a month meeting might not be enough.
Any other comments? So now, Janice, do you want to clarify what they're voting on? What is the vote there? What is it down to?
So what the steering committee is voting tonight is, to be able to move these strategies to public comment. So, to put them into the plan so that we can release the draft for public to review and comment on in the middle of January.
So it's as the strategy stand in the packet, whether or not to move forward with public comment.
Absolutely. So, by the way, here, I want to see if anyone is willing to pass the motion to go ahead and move forward and vote. With the addition of the terminology mentioned.
I make the motion that we vote on the CERT strategies with the amendments that, were just mentioned. Did I do that right?
What is the amendment?
Which would be the word potential, adding the wording potential.
Well, there we go, just.
Okay. All right, let's, go to tree canopies, because I think that was the one that we spoke with the most. What I heard Ward share earlier was whether or not we could add, under partnerships, implementing agency potential partners under color of the block to have partner with the Sacramento Air District to distribute trees to the community in November of 2025. And identify potential programs to increase tree canopy.
Correct.
Can I clarify? Potential? To add in the statement under color of the block, period, after November 2025, and then to add to identify potential programs to increase tree canopy. So that doesn't necessarily address what Tito and Vincent was just talking about. So I would ask, what type of language do you guys want changed? Based on the comment that you had. So I addressed the colorful wealth one.
I'm not prepared to, I think we need to kind of discuss further. All right, go ahead, Jen.
I think because there may be a little bit of time that's needed to come up with the different partners that we want to include in the final one. Maybe we could make a vote to basically say, you know, move these strategies to public comment with the amendment that we have about color of the block, but to include additional partners before that the steering committee could discuss before the March final vote. Does that work? Jaime?
I'm wondering if, do all the potential partners have to be identified, or can it be just ongoing? Because I imagine that there's going to be, you know, additional folks that will be wanting to add in, right?
So that's a question for you guys.
It is, you asked for this, brother, so the onus is on us, right? I mean, we do want to be inclusive, we gotta make sure we're bringing in good folks. Good folks in the sense of qualify, and if something is evolving as well, but it's on us to look for that, and so obviously you guys are gonna have to do the vetting as well. But, you know, I think all we want is to be inclusive, right, to be included in the conversation, in the discussion.
Yes, the question I had was, are we voting on this and this is only the partners that are involved? Because I keep asking, why do all these strategies only have a few jurisdictions, city, county, state, SMUD, PG&E, or the air district on there, and they don't have any community organizations or any input from the people who live in these communities? And so if we can add them later, that's what and I heard that we can, I'm okay with that, but I feel that we need to add more people onto these strategies, more organizations than just the city, state, county, and SMUD, PG&E, and RT. Thank you.
And there's ones that are like Sacramento Tree Foundation, United Latinos, Color of the Block, Meadowview is also on there as well. I'm hearing that there are potential other ones that the steering committee wants to include in their final document. And again, we can take some time to do that. So my suggestion, would be that, you know, you guys are approving this to go out to public comment with the change of the tree canopy for, I can't even see that far. With the change for color of the block, but for the steering committee to discuss over the next few months what potential partners could be included in the final one. Okay?
I'll get a thumbs up. Okay, Barry, over here.
It was answered, sir.
Oh, excellent. Yes, go ahead.
I don't know if this needs to necessarily be added as an addition or not, but I think a potential option is also as these reports are being handed around to the public for comment, we can also mention and advertise, like, if anybody from the public, I'm assuming people from the public who are coming to these hearings to listen about this CERT plan are invested and heavily want to like either watch or be involved, I think we can pose it as, if you know somebody or if you would like to be involved and like you're hearing any of these that you particularly want to get involved with, please like either come to a meeting or show your interest, express your interest. And that way it's not just you know, Tito and Vincent finding people and yanking them in, but we're also telling the public, hey, you can also loop yourself into any one of these strategies as we're going through them during these public comment periods.
Yeah, great comment. Any comment online? I think where we're standing is that we've had a first motion, but we haven't had a second motion. So
Okay, with some of the clarification that has just occurred, adjustments and notation for further adjustments, the changes, do we have a second motion to move forward?
I'll second it, or
Okay,
there it is now, so I'll second.
okay. And
is there any public comment? We'll start in the room and then we'll come to those online. Is there any public comment on the motion on the table to accept these strategies to move forward for public comment? I see you, Barry. Any public? Is there any public attendees online that would like to comment or ask a question? So you, while you're thinking, steering committee member Barry?
Thank you. Just for clarity, if the motion would be read in full, with the amendments, just for absolute clarity. I would appreciate that.
Could you clarify that question?
If the motion would be read in clarity, or in full for clarity.
Yes. So this is what I understand, and then Janice, you can correct me. That's a good question. We are voting to move forward these strategies as they show up within this document with these clarifications to move forward for public comment. Is that correct, Janice?
And for the steering committee during this time to provide, to come up with any potential partners to be included in the final CERT document or for the steering committee to vote in March.
So this document is really in draft form because it's now just going out for public comment. Public will have opportunity to provide feedback. It'll come back to the district and to the steering committee for another level of review. We're just voting to move it forward. We've made some amendments about potential programs and about looking for additional partners that want to be a part of it. But again, it's just going forward so the more broad public has an opportunity to review. Morgan.
And just for clarification, Dennis, and I apologize, I think the more that we're kind of talking about, the more that's kind of triggering just a little bit more questions and kind of back to what Vince was saying. Because I know we're saying, include more time for potential partners, but I guess kind of now going back to what Vince was saying. If when we come back with these potential partners, and then we have this and we vote on that, does that seal the potential partners, or are we gonna have verbiage or something on here that leaves it open-ended for ongoing possible potential partnerships with other organizations? So I guess that is my question, maybe, I don't know if that helps me saying it like that, to have something like that, that is not so, like, when I look at this list and I see what you're saying, that it says CARB and it says Community Steering Committee. Could there possibly be a line item that also has community organizations and then a snippet of responsibility, so that way when we look at this, maybe it's not looked at like, this is it.
Yeah.
After we identify it.
Yeah, so to address that, what we could also do is make a new line under every single strategy. That could basically say other potential partners to be determined during implementation phase. If that provides, I think, some level of comfort for folks that it's still open-ended.
So for awareness, we have about 3 minutes. We have a couple of hands or placards here. I want to capture these, and then we need to move forward with the vote.
I just have a question. So when it does go to like public comments, what's the process? Like, is it another meeting? Is it open for the public to come to the meeting to talk about it? Will it be like emails online? Like, how does that process look like?
Yes, that's a really good question. So what we would do was that we would have a draft plan. So that's the entire plan, not just the strategies. But we would basically make an announcement. We have also a whole outreach plan that we've developed with the outreach subcommittee on like who to reach out to and let people know that there is an opportunity for them to comment on the plan. They would submit a plan to an email that we would set up. We would compile all the questions or comments that the public have provided. We would share those public comments back with the steering committee, and we would deliberate on how we plan on addressing those comments together. And then once we've done that, then we're gonna update the plan, and that will come back in March for you all to take a final vote.
Thank you, Janice. We have one more question online, and then I think we need to close comment period and move to the vote. Herman, thank you for your patience. Would you like to unmute and ask your question?
Yes, so we're very interested in hearing from the public their reactions about these strategies. So if the public is not happy with these strategies and they want to reshape them, will that be an opportunity to influence the strategies, or are they staying the same for March?
So depending on what the comment is provided by members of the public, That would then be brought back to the steering committee on how we would address that comment provided by the public. And so that may result in a change, that may not result in a change after deliberation from the committee.
Will these
And I also
documents,
want to just-
will these documents, when they go to the public, be available in different languages?
The document itself is not going to be in a different language. It will be in English. We can work, I think, to try to get maybe some information in how we can get them into different languages to share some of this information. But no, we would not be translating all the materials in different languages.
So that's a problem for us because we work with 7 churches in this region and most of our folks speak Spanish. So we would need to have something that can help people understand what these strategies are in their native language.
Understood. I think what we could do is try to come up with a way of making sure that we can share what some of this information is in at least in a short, it wouldn't be a translation of the entire document, but it would hopefully be in a way where we can get them for folks to understand what the strategies are so that they can comment on them.
Thank you for your comment, and now I'm gonna pass the mic back to our co-lead. We need to close public comments.
Sorry, I have one more thing.
Oh, Janice.
Sorry, I do have one more thing that I want to add. I also think it's important that we highlight that we've been having these steering committee meetings for the past year and offering translation and interpretation this entire time that we've been developing them. So I just wanted to make sure that, you know, to highlight that it isn't that we've been collecting this information with the opportunity for the public to provide their comments with access to interpretation.
All right, thank you. Barry, can you keep it quick for us?
Janice, to your point, that is preview to today's simulation. Understood and grateful for the translation, but with as in the past, going forward with accumulation of what the vote is for the public to take a look at, it only makes sense to have it in multiple languages, not just Spanish, not just English, but additional languages that at one point, I believe we voted on English, Spanish, Hmong, Vietnamese, Arabic, Farsi, and I believe one more. So it would be a disservice in my for us not to give all of this information in the languages that the CSC has committed to doing in the past.
Yeah, let me think about like how we're able to be able to do that. I think one thing that we have done in the October 15th meeting before it was an opportunity for the public at that time to provide their comments that we provided in different languages on the different strategies. So maybe we can take some of that work that we've done there in incorporating how we can share that with specific groups.
All right.
Back to the motion.
So here's my question before I say, it. Do I need to restate what the motion is? Because there was one additional thing that was stated as far as adding an extra line.
Yeah.
Okay, so keeping in mind the street canopies with additional verbiage to cover the blocks line item, adding in potential programs, including potential partners before the March vote, but ensuring that there is an extra line item added to each strategy with the understanding for possible potential partnerships. So with this being the, we go back to the first, or we go still continue with our second and our vote?
you guys want to follow like the strict rule, basically, you would have to go through the first vote to finish off, the first motion and then amend it, or there could be a friendly amendment. Paul, you wanna go?
If the motion. If the motion maker and the seconder agree to this language, it can be done as a friendly amendment, and then you can take the vote off of that.
Does our motion maker and our second, which would have been Vince and Ward, agree with moving forward to a vote?
Yes.
Okay, Vince?
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna move forward with the vote. Bishop Chris Baker?
Bishop, you're behind us?
Yeah.
Can you have this?
Listening to all the languages, what we did when I was on the education committee in Washington, is there's certain areas that have all kind of, very diverse, so we put in the agenda items and all that, if you see a language here that's not of your culture or your language, please identify what language you speak. And then they'll email them, and then they'll work on getting that individuals a copy of that in their language. Cause there was just no way to have an interpreter for each and every language in that diversified area. So they found when they put that, they'll get an email, hey, I speak this language, maybe 3-4 days, they'll get that to them in that particular language. So I think if that's something you all can do, put something there in a tab. If you don't see your spoken language here, please get with us and specify what your language is.
I wanna also, thank you, Bishop, wanna also add that, the district, is, hoping to also do a public friendly version, meaning like a story map of when we go out to public comment on the draft plan, so it's more, accessible to community members, because this is a very detailed plan, and it does, have, a lot of complex information in there because of what the air quality plan entails. But we are creating a online accessible story map that is gonna be online, and potentially one way is one way is to see if we can get those in different languages because they are a plain language version.
Okay, so keeping this information in mind, I'm hearing that, or I'm asking, we can use that as a suggestion to move forward in the future and continue with the agreed, approved, or secondary motion from our original motion and our second from Vincent and Ward. And we will move forward with the vote. Is that okay with you? Okay, all right, so we got a yes from Bishop, so we're gonna move forward and take a vote. Bishop Chris Baker? Alicia Pastas Cabrera? Barry Boyd?
Yes.
Diashne Gunn? Adam Swan? Jacob Smalls?
Yes.
Jamala Green? James Allison?
Yes.
Lori Walker?
Yes.
Malia Wallace?
Yes.
Morgan Brown? Abstain? Richard Falcone?
Yes.
Ward Winchell?
Yes.
Roberto Rizzo?
Yes.
Serena Rodriguez?
Yes.
Stephanie Williams?
Yes.
Tito?
Yes.
Vincent?
Yes.
Before the vote is announced, I just like to add my caveat to my vote, as long as the Spanish language and other languages are included.
Okay, so per Mr. Barry Boyd, as long as the Spanish languages,
And Spanish and other.
Spanish and other languages are included, his vote is a yes. And the motion passes.
One down. Go, you guys. Okay, we went over 10 minutes on that item, so just for your awareness. We're moving into our next vote. It's about the served targets. And this is gonna talk a little bit about it, and then we're gonna move into a vote. Just for awareness, we have 10 less minutes and we study ready for play.
All right, as part of the plan, the community emission reduction program plan, an element of the plan is to have targets, and they are emission reduction targets, other targets that if they don't have, direct emissions, then what would those targets be? We had shared with you all that the targets would be calculated based on, the amount of funding that would go into that particular strategy. And it would basically be backwards calculated. Last month, you all had a participatory budgeting activity where you were able to do the funding allocation for these programs. This is a reminder of what that breakdown looks like. And then in the next slide, with those percentages, with the funding that we know that we're gonna be getting, we basically translated that into dollar amounts. And so that's what you see on the table that we have in front of you tonight. Also went through this information in the SERP subcommittee meeting. So with that, we know we can make some assumptions on how many trees, how many cars, how many lawn and garden that we are able to switch out with for that type of funding. So then on the next slide, we were able to calculate what those estimated emission reductions would be based on the funding targets. So you can see that they're listed here. I just want to highlight that NA does not mean that there are no emission or exposure reductions. There may be like non-conventional ways to achieve those reductions that are not included in these calculations. And really, it's going to depend on what the project is going to be. So as we get into the implementation phase, and let's just say we have a very expensive, hard, complex project, then once we know the specifics of that, then there could be emission reductions calculations based on that during implementation timeframe. This is just another table to reflect on what additional 100K allocated to the strategy. As we have shared with you all, we calculated it based on the money that we currently have. We know that the legislature had already, committed on a broad scale that they're going to be funding this project for the next 20 years or so. Specific district allocations have not been determined yet. And so as we get the funding to implement more, to implement the projects, then every, 100K, again, these are all estimated emissions that we would be getting if we appropriated it to that program. Next slide. Okay. Estimated emission reductions based on funding target. If a strategy doesn't get the expected participation during implementation, we will be working with the steering committee to decide whether or not we want to reallocate those funds. And so you guys all did an activity, right? And so there may be things that we, like going through implementation process, implementation timeframe, that maybe, I don't know, maybe we have nobody applying for that particular, strategy, right? And maybe we all try very hard to get people to participate. At a certain point, you all might want to reallocate that money to a different strategy, right? Instead of like continuing to reach it, there's going to be a certain point. And this is a lesson learned from other communities. That there are, times where it's just been really difficult to implement something, nobody take them up on it, and they wanted the ability to make changes. Okay. Next slide. Okay, before we go to that, I'll just keep going, so we can keep going. So those are the incentive funding ones, right, in the incentive bucket. So then there are also ones where, a lot of the strategies are also exposure reduction. And so those also need targets. So for example, promoting air quality education in schools, air filters in indoor public spaces, increased education for hair and nail salons. These are particular targets that we have seen. What we wrote here in targets is very similar to what we've seen in other SERPs in other communities. Actually, Catherine, I'm going to call her up here really quickly to share maybe what she's seen in other communities SERPs and how this compares to what we have provided here.
Yeah, so in some of the community SERPs that I've seen, it would just say as much as funding allows. So here it provides a little bit more detail on what types of materials we'll work on. I've also seen, for example, air filters in public spaces. They put a specific 200,000 square feet of building spaces, but that's something that we will need to go through the process of the implementation phase to be able to get down to that specific, how much are we going to address, how much building space, how many community centers, that kind of thing. So that's just kind of the range that I've seen in the other SERPs. And again, there may be a space, let's just take like a public space that can cost more money because of like whatever retrofits that might be needed, that might be harder. And that is still, I think, going to be determined once you guys have identified what types of spaces that we might want to implement this with. So that's what we have for emission reduction targets, exposure reduction targets, again, very similar to what we've seen in other community SERPs. And then we're bringing this to you tonight so that we can include them into our draft document out for public comment.
So just to clarify again, the targets will be included with the strategies brought to public comment. That is the vote, whether we want that to happen, yes or no. Is that correct?
That they're to be included,
Correct.
because it is a needed element in the plan.
I just have a really quick clarification question. Under the safe resilient streets, for the 3 local jurisdictions, where
The 3 local jurisdictions, and with it would be city of Sacramento, county of Sacramento, as well as Elkhorn, city of Elkhorn.
just that, thank you.
Is there any? Well, I'll take back my question. We'll start on this side of the table, then we'll come back to you, Vince. Is that all right?
Sure.
I just have one quick question. That strategy doesn't, in the expected participation, is there like a time frame that we're looking at for that?
You mean, in the plan, would we be identifying that, you know, we're not able to expend these funds? Is there a time frame that the steering committee is putting in to rediscuss reallocation?
Yes.
We don't currently have that specified in there, right now. That's something that we can consider if you guys want to talk about that.
I myself would recommend putting that language in there, so that you guys have the flexibility to evaluate that during the implementation. That's it.
So I'm looking at some of the targets and I'm looking at the strategy packets. And, if they were prioritized like the, prioritization was, it'd be easier to follow, because some of these look like we're gonna be doing these, but we're really not. And so, but, that's okay, but when I look at the emissions reductions for the tree canopy and it says not applicable for everything. And then for commercial vehicle replacement, if we replace a quarter of a truck, we get that much reduction, because that's all you're gonna get for $48,000. Case anybody doesn't know in here, the truck replacements are averaging about $200,000 for one truck. So we only have allocated enough for a quarter of a truck to be replaced, but it has so much reduction because we know how much a truck pollutes in the community. So I looked on the CARB website. No, I'm sorry, Department of Transportation, and it's on average, I think 19,000 trucks go through South Sacramento on a regular basis. And there's even more cars. And so even if we did just reduce 5 trucks with, $1 million, I mean, it's only 5 minus 19,000 or something like that. So it just, I don't know if we're throwing money just in the water and washing it just go down the stream, or can we look at a difference? I know it's getting late in the strategies, but where do we incorporate some of these other things in these strategies that we talked about? Say like promoting public transportation to go to work, and some of these larger employers in the community that would reduce traffic on the streets. It would be part of the safe and resilient streets strategies possibly. There's one organization has 75 employees, and I did the math. If we gave every employee $10 a day to ride public transportation, it would be $180,000. That's if 75 out of all 75 employees, if they did the public transportation, everybody would get $200 a month. Very similar to what the Air District does with their employees. So it's not like we're reinventing the wheel on what's been done here, but it's only $180,000. But we would reduce, and I dream big, but if we reduced 30 cars off the streets and we increased commuting, because I commute a lot on the freeway. I'm the single driver myself, because nobody wants to drive together because there's no incentive or anything like that. But these are the things we talked about, and none of those are in here incorporated in these ideas. And I don't know if it's going to be too late to incorporate those, because it would reduce traffic on the streets. And so there's several corporations just in this area that have large employees, payrolls, I guess. And so I'm just a little wondering why, we gave so much emphasis on these. And now my second question is, do any of these strategies are they reflected on anything that we discovered in our air monitoring from the phase 1, phase 2, or phase 3? I don't think we've talked anything about what we discovered in the monitoring. So do any of these correlate with that at all?
Yeah, great question, and I'm gonna attack it backwards. So we did bring back air monitoring information to the steering committee, and I think we've had a whole event that shared that information. What we had learned was that there was no smoking gun in terms of like any, particular things that, could help guide directly into any of these strategies. So, I want to just share that. I think in terms of what is allocated in terms of funding here, the steering committee, if you guys say, hey, and you guys, one of the things that I heard last month about how you guys voted in your allocations was that you guys were very aware that there were other air quality programs that supports commercial vehicle replacement, zero emission infrastructure, zero emissions, clean cars for all.
which is why I think you guys had ended up, allocating a lot more funding to the programs that were a lot more flexible. So that's one, but with that, you know, if you guys want to, you know, allocate the last three to the top three, because those were based on your priorities, you can do.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think all of us worry about, you know, being too politically correct to check all the boxes, not recognizing that not all boxes need to be checked, right? That we need to be more aware of what effective that that relates to respect the community versus just we're checking every box. Okay, there's the commercial, there's residential, and all that. So that's on us to prioritize. And I think I'm looking at the incentives. I think you mentioned earlier, Janice, that there is some incentive for the nail salons in addition to just the exposure reduction. Right, because I don't want us to think that whatever's on here is just, this is it, right, if we vote on that. But I think my community would respond more to where there's an incentive altruistically and also financially, economically, or just whatever it is that give them a sense that they're doing something, they're being rewarded for it. And that they also matter versus the big businesses out there in comparison to the small businesses. That makes sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, right? And I think the challenge that we have before us is that we have limited funding. Right, and which is why we have asked for you guys to help us, to guide us in where that funding goes. And so last month, we did an exercise in terms of what you all felt, of how that allocation needed to be funded. And we did the prioritization of buckets 1, 2, and 3. The goal, right, is that we want to implement all 20 units. And so as we continue to have conversations with the state, with the legislature on what our community needs are, let's continue to see if we can get more funding to implement these strategies that we have. I hear you. But I think the challenge for all of us is if we only had to choose, which ones are we going to implement first? And as we get more funding, let's talk about what we want to implement next.
I'm just over time, Chef. So we have about 7 minutes left in this item. We need to finish our comments, make our motions, hear from the public and vote. So just for your awareness, Barry.
Thank you, Janice, just wanted to, if you would make real clear for me, through the monitoring, as Vince had asked, the results, as you stated, there was no smoking gun. With the, if I'm remembering correctly, the fire station there, 47th and Franklin, had the highest emissions of black smoke. With that, as I understand, there's no definitive way to measure diesel, but it's an elimination, a process of elimination by other pollutants that are there, which indicate, okay, then it's, the extraction would be that it's diesel, the pollutants, i.e. versus, okay, I can measure carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, but if there's this amount of NOx, this amount of whatever, higher concentration, what's causing that, if it's not XYZ process elimination, going to drag on. But the bottom line is the heaviest concentration of black smoke in our boundary was at the fire station there, 47th Avenue. With that, as you stated, no smoking gun. So was the amount that was found there, it being the highest level of black smoke in all of our boundaries, it's total just wasn't significant to require action. I just want to make sure I heard you.
I think it's important to know that the goal of the CERT plan is to reduce the emissions, right, in general, and how we're going to, regardless if it's like regardless if it's like, meeting, the standard or not, right? What we saw was that it was below the health standards. So it's meeting, correct, right? Yeah. You guys are kind of pulling from different parts of my brain. What we saw was that we meet health standards for the particular, pollutant that you're talking about, especially for black carbon. But with that said, it is important that we recognize that there are more burdens, right, that this community might experience from air pollution, so we want to continue to reduce the emissions and the exposure that people have.
Okay, so if there are no additional steering committee, I think that is an old comment. So I will ask if there is a motion to move forward to vote on the targets, as read. So, I will ask the steering committee if anyone wants to give the motion to move forward with the certain targets as read here. Okay, so we got a yes from Bishop Chris Baker. Do we have a second? Okay, we have a second from Serena.
All right, we'll open it to public comment. Again, the vote is to include the targets with the strategies as they go to public comment. Is there any public comment in the room? And then we'll go online. Any public comments online regarding the vote on the table? All right, we'll close public comment and move to the vote.
My hand is raised.
I'm sorry, I missed your name. Go ahead. Herman, go
So
ahead.
I was reviewing again these slides, and when you say targets, you're meaning the quantifiable amounts of reduction for PM 2.5, NOx. Is that what you mean by targets? The reduction targets?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm definitely very concerned that these numbers are very inadequate. They are not major reductions of any kind. And the fact that AB 617 was awarded to this region is because there are plenty of smoking guns. So then that begs the question about the methodology of finding the smoking guns, because these targets are severely low. Just the other day, we were getting some information from CARB. Ozone alone happens to be above the threshold in this region. And in the ozone, of course, as we know, it's a combination of all the bad stuff that's coming out of these neighborhoods. And then here, these targets are super low. It's a very low bar to set. So I'm very concerned about this.
I think, the targets reflect the funding that we receive for the program. And so, I think, if we had more funding to implement additional projects, to get the emission reductions that you're expressing that we would like to get, I think there could be, I think that could be something that could be resolved through receiving more funding from the state.
Thanks, Janice. Always comes down to the dollars and cents. We have one more. Oh, two more. One more public comment in the room, and then we'll move to the vote.
Good evening. This is Delby Bredesen, the Director of the Office of Community on Protection and ARB. So glad to be here. I do just want to reinforce exactly what Janice just said and what she explained earlier. The targets are based on essentially 1 year's worth of incentives funding that this district has right now. The good news out of the budget cycle last year, which you all discussed is that in 26-27, this program will get continuous funding of 250 million for all districts that have 617 communities. That means the district will continue to see allocations of incentives. I wonder, Janice, if maybe for the purpose of this comment, which I think is very real, the target document could have a caveat that the targets are only 1 year's worth of funding. More funding will be allocated. And I will say that traditionally, we've seen SERPs be implemented over at least 5 years. Some are gonna need more than 5 years.
Thank you for providing that perspective for us.
Yeah. Can I answer, can I provide some, response to that? Okay, yes, so that is written into, the draft schedule, as you have stated.
All right, Herman, we have just 30 seconds and then we need to close public comments so we can go to a vote. So go ahead.
Just a quick question about the 700,000 plus on trees. And I missed this meeting, but does that include an irrigation system to allow the trees to reach maturity, or it's just a financial allotment without a plan?
Billy, transportation and climate change. The money, we're still putting the program together, but maintenance and survivability of the trees is a really important part of the rubric. So whenever we do a solicitation, we do ask for, how do we ensure the trees meet maturity? How do we ensure the trees are going to survive? Sometimes it's irrigation, sometimes it's hand watering until establishment. It depends on the site and the contractor or partner that's doing the program.
Thank you for that.
So just to say, okay, so we're gonna close public comment, and the next line item is steering committee further discussion. Now, I do understand we are strapped on time, however, not only as co-chair, but also as a steering committee member and community member. I do wanna make sure that it is very, very clear, if there are concerns before we vote on this, I want to either ask if we want to extend an extra 5 minutes if we need it, or we can continue to move forward.
I mean, if you get started, we got line for land right there.
We were prepared.
But just in fairness, because of the complexity of what we're discussing, I wanted to make sure there's clarity. And I wanna, thank the young lady in the back with the red shirt. I can't remember your name, I apologize. But yes, that gave so much clarity. So with that, either giving an option of extending 5 minutes, or if we feel comfortable, no more further discussion moving forward to vote.
10 minutes.
Is that what you?
Should we do 10 minutes?
Is there any further discussion needed before folks are ready to vote? No.
Vincent? Okay. And again, as your co-chair and also fellow community member, I want to make sure that I am allotting that time.
Can we get a snap?
All right. So with that being said, there are no extra comments, right, Barry? All right. We are going to move forward with the vote. And Alicia Chavez-Caballo. Abstain, correct, okay. Barry Boyd,
Abstain?
Bishop Chris Baker,
Yes.
Diaj Nagel, M. Swan, Jacob Smalls,
Abstain.
Jamala Green,
Yes.
James Allison,
Yes.
Lori Walker,
Yes.
Malia Wallace,
Yes.
Morgan Brown, yes. Richard Falcone,
Yes.
Ward Winchell,
Yes.
Roberto Rizzo,
Yes.
Serena Rodriguez,
Yes.
Stephanie Williams,
Yes.
Tito,
Yes.
Vincent Valdez,
No.
okay. I do want to note for abstains, 1 no, the vote does pass, but again, let's note, for the record, the votes.
Could you read the numbers, please?
Yeah, we're just comparing, that we have confirmation. We had 12 yeses, 1 no, and 4 abstained.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, it passes. It'll move forward for public comment with the strategies. Well done, you guys. Okay. We have about 5 minutes. We have about 10 minutes worth of things, so we're gonna talk fast. We're gonna move to the district for new business. They're gonna talk about upcoming office hours.
All right, we still have the standing offer for virtual office hours, by appointment. So you guys can email the clerk email or give us a call to schedule a time to meet with staff. It is always very helpful, for you all to share what you have questions on, so we can bring the appropriate staff to, meet with you. The next one is our upcoming steering committee meeting. So we have our outreach subcommittee meeting on December 15th. We have our SERV subcommittee on January 5th. Again, lots of time for us to still resolve and talk about the issues that were brought up tonight. And then in the outreach subcommittee meeting is going to be on January 12th. That is rescheduled due to Martin Luther King Day. And then our next steering committee meeting is going to be January 26th. So it'll be a little while before we meet again as the full steering committee.
All right, thanks, district. And now we will move to public comments and ask if there are any public comments. I see one hand. I'm just wondering the number of hands. One hand in the room. Any hands online?
Hi, everybody. Nathan said, a lot of you have gotten to know me over the course of the year. I want to say big congratulations for how far you moved forward with the CERT. Been following you with your big steps, both the year-long process. I'm going to keep this announcement kind of short. So this is, I want to talk about the environmental justice element in Sacramento County and extend some informational or some information to individuals who live within the unincorporated Sacramento County, because that's where the Sacramento County has jurisdiction. So the environmental justice element is a really big reason why we are able to have a lot of incentive to participate within the CERT process and why you've been seeing me a lot here. We want to be able to continue being able to move forward with a lot of our environmental justice initiatives, the CERT included, and being able to support AQMD in that. We are planning on having our annual stakeholder meeting at some point in mid-January. It's still TBD, but we're hoping to get as we AQMD and the departments in Sacramento County on when would be the best time to meet on that, and as well as outreach to the public. If you want any more information on that stakeholder meeting, feel free to come to me, talk to me after the meeting. You're totally welcome. You turn that off. You're totally welcome. So, or if you just want me to give me your email or if you need my email, totally fine with that too.
Thank you. Any other public comments?
Would you have one online?
Thank you, Sarah. Herman, I see your hand. Would you like to give your public comment?
One last time, I promise. Thank you. Well, happy holidays, everybody, and I do appreciate everybody's patience throughout this process. I just wanted to announce that we will be installing the CARB emissions monitors in the beginning of the year. We're finishing the calibration process, and we've met with several groups throughout the community about some target areas to focus in. And we're also combining that with our information with PRA records that we requested over the last year and a half. I also want to let everybody know, save the date, April 18th will be our Earth Day dinner awards evening. You're all welcome to attend. Just stay tuned for more information that we'll be sending out to reserve the date for Earth Day. We have a very special day that night, and we'd love for all of you to join us. Thank you.
Yeah, we see one more hand online, Laurel, and then we will close public. Community business. Go ahead, Laurel.
Hi, everyone. Happy holidays. Thanks for letting me make an announcement. Valley Vision has been helping promote the Art Community Car Share program, which is through the Air District. They have car share available at community centers and public libraries in the South Sacramento area. And right now they have a $100 incentive for income qualified people within those communities to, if they sign up by December 17th for our community car share, they will receive that $100 incentive. And I will share a link in the chat and hoping that that can be shared out with the group as well, for how folks can sign up for that incentive, and hoping that you all can help with spreading the word about that as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Laurel. I'm gonna hand back to Morgan.
Okay, so I wanna thank everyone once again for your patience. We are gonna close out. I do not feel like I would be doing my due diligence as your co-lead for one more meeting, and again, fellow community member, by mentioning they do have office hours, the Air District. So if there are any concerns that are still lingering that need to be addressed, please do not let us go into moving forward with certain processes without expressing these concerns with the Air District. Again, we want to make sure everybody's voice is heard.
Is that 24/7 or what?
I mean, I believe Janet's email is 24/7.
She is absolutely correct. My email is 24/7. And, you know, I would email them to, the AB 617 clerk, and we can work with you all on
Thank you.
the officers.
And don't forget, you have your stand committee members as well. If you ever need to reach out to, as well as your current co-lead and your future co-lead. So to close it at 8:03, 8:02. What do we want?
There's cake and food, y'all, so.
Christmas, everybody.